Good man. Nicey nice.
Hey, so I have such a beautiful message coming through for you today, and I'm gonna try and get through it as best as I can. I had a hard time, like, even doing this reading, okay, because I was like so emotional over the messages coming through and the vision that Spirit gave me. And it kind of ties in with the message the other day that we had about angels. Like I said, I've been getting a lot of angelic messages lately, okay? And the message that I'm getting today, I'm going to try and get through this without crying, okay, you guys? Because it is just, whoever you are, okay, you were never meant to go through what you went through. Okay, I'm already starting to get teary-eyed. Okay? The angels are giving you a standing ovation. And what I'm getting from this is that you experienced a lot of dark. You had a lot of dark attachments around you in the environment that you grew up. You were never meant to experience those things. I'm getting for a lot of you that your childhood felt like you didn't really get to experience a childhood. Like maybe you were...
Oh, fuck off.
get to experience a childhood. Like maybe you were someone who experienced a lot of death around you. Okay, like I said the other day in that angelic reading, is that maybe you feel like you escaped death a bunch of times. Some of you had families where there was addictions passed down, or maybe you struggled from addictions that you had to overcome or are still working to overcome. Okay, and I'm seeing a positive outcome for each and every one of you. I'm seeing here that you had to be in environments where you were protecting everyone else, but you weren't protected. Okay, and I'm not trying to make this super emotional, and I'm not trying to like trigger anybody, but the angels are giving you a standing ovation today. I'm getting an energy of someone who is basically a fallen angel who has risen again, and I'm hearing welcome home. This message is really hard to get out, because what Spirit showed me is someone like feeling like they fell through the wrong portal or something. And I'm hearing that God has a plan. Okay, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm very empathic, so I can pick up on this energy, and I didn't mean for it to get emotional. It's not, meant to be about me, but your redemption has a lot of stories to tell, okay? And I got that message from the song I Dare You to Move, which I will link in the bottom. There's in the comments below, but there's a version of it that I really like. It's really beautiful. I created a short with it before, but whoever you are placed in environments where there were some dark people around you. Maybe even not in your childhood, but as you became like a very... I'm getting like a youthful age, like a young age, like even before you were like 12 or 13, it was natural for you to be in an environment where maybe people partied, or you were exposed to, sexuality early or something like that. And we don't need to talk about it in the comments, okay? But I just feel like your childhood was robbed from you. But what I'm getting from this is I'm hearing like bells ringing. I'm seeing the angels are giving you a standing ovation, and God has a plan for you, okay? And this is why. If you resonate with that reading that I got the other day, that you have a guardian angel who has fallen in love with you and has been like some sort of guide to you since you were a child, that there has been a bigger plan for you, even though it may not feel like it. But this is why your angel is so hard on you today, because of everything that you had to go through. And I'm here to tell you that you're not going to have to go through that again. Okay, they're showing me white butterflies for someone.
Hello.
But your heart is too pure for this world, okay? You're not from here. And as you have been someone who's probably reincarnated, but you've always been someone with a pure heart, okay? The dark does not even know you, but you had to experience the dark and get to know the dark really well. And for whoever this message is for, you have no idea the beautiful future in front of you. And it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how long you feel like you were stuck, feeling like you were drowning, like you were in the dark, like nobody saw you, okay? And this, even if it was only a few years of your life, what you experienced in the time you experienced it doesn't matter. We're not comparing anyone else to anyone else. The fact is you experienced what you experienced, and you were never meant to experience what you have and what you were shown and things that you saw, things that maybe have left like a bad taste in your mouth or gave you PTSD. Okay, you were never meant for that, and the plan that God has for you, you were meant to rise. Okay, like the angel that you are, you have, and you are, and you still are. You are so loved and supported. You are protected. The angels are giving you a standing ovation because you overcame extra things that you didn't sign up for. Okay? And there were dark attachments. There was a lot of death or grief or depression around you. Okay? And it's like it's I'm hearing like the rapture. Like it tried to take you. Okay? And it didn't. It can't. Because you were never meant to stay there. You were meant to be somebody who is going to be someone who gives people hope. Okay, you were meant to be someone that people could see rise from the depths of whatever it is that you went through. You may not even look like what you went through, okay? But there's something about your soul that some people that have experienced it or people that are enlightened can see what's behind your eyes, okay? And I feel that missionaries from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can help you to better know your Savior through prayer. Tap the link below to meet with us. I feel that you have no idea why you're so protected and why your guardian angel is so protective over you now is because you aren't meant to go through that experience again or those experiences. And what you are meant to experience now is love. Unconditional love and support and friends and fulfilling careers, and you aren't meant to live in hardship after hardship, and you aren't meant to stay in those environments. So don't feel guilty. I'm also getting like a survivor's guilt, okay? Feeling guilty that maybe you're going to have a career or take better care of yourself, and the people around you just have no, it's like they're okay with settling, or they think that that's all there is, or you know, they haven't experienced what you experienced. And when you experience whatever it is that you went through, you're a fighter and you fought back, okay? And there's no reason for you to feel guilty if your friends or other people never made it out of situations, but be that light. Be the angel that you are, and be the hope for somebody that needs it, okay? Because, you know, we've all been there. And in those darkest moments, there may have been some sort of a mentor or something, even if the mentor showed up at the end, that kind of made you feel better, okay? That was like a guide to you when you felt like you had no one else. Because I'm getting here that you were always the one that protected everyone else. You were always the one fighting for everyone else, but no one was there protecting you. And this was really hard for me to get out this message. But if you could only see the vision that God has shown me, like you are going to have it all, okay? You are going to live financially free. You are going to be in love. You are going to love yourself unconditionally. You are going to feel seen, heard, loved, and supported. This message is really hard for me to get out. Really, really hard. Okay, so you weren't forgotten. God had a bigger plan for you, okay? Now you weren't meant to experience everything that you experienced, but you fell through so you could rise up again. Okay? Now I'm going to have to close this message. I thought it was going to be longer, but as you can tell, I'm like very emotional trying to get it out, and I want to let you know that God has a bigger plan for you. Your angels and guides are so proud of you today, okay? And there are beautiful things in store for you that you can't see yet, but I just want you to know that there is hope, okay? And then you're meant to be the one that gives others hope, Okay, so this is like such a beautiful message. I hesitated even putting it out, but I know that somebody needed to hear it today. And I love you all so much, and I'm so happy that you're all here, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
If you were born before 1979, may I ask you something? Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, life just keeps pushing you back?
Someone with a deep soul connection to you that is younger, either spiritually or in human years, is silently obsessing over you. Now, Spirit's giving me this.
Oh, piss off.
Is becoming completely obsessed with you. And here's the thing that's gonna disturb you more than it flatters you. It has almost nothing to do with who you think you are. And it has everything to do with what you accidentally awakened inside them. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. You spent so long feeling invisible, like you were giving everything and receiving nothing in return. But then something changed. You reached this breaking point where you just like, you stopped. You stopped chasing, you stopped explaining yourself to people who were not committed to understanding you.
App called Bigo Live, and believe it or not, pretty girls
Fuck
message you
off,
first.
you
You
stupid
never know when
cunt.
you'll meet someone.
You stopped looking for validation in someone else's eyes and you started, actually, you finally started finding it within your own soul. That shift, that specific thing you did, it sent a shockwave through everything around you, and they felt it. They absolutely felt it. See, you believe love is built on attraction, maybe shared values, timing, those comfortable things, right? But that belief is actually comforting because comfort is actually a lie. The truth about real love, obsessive love, the kind that keeps someone awake at night, it's not born in logic. It's born in the unconscious. And you, without even realizing it, you stepped into a part of their psyche. Yeah, they have been hiding from themselves for years. You became something they didn't expect, something they couldn't control, something they couldn't categorize. And that broke their internal structure completely. Here is what most people don't see. When someone feels seen at that depth, not just noticed, but actual seen, they don't just admire you, they attach to you violently, completely. And this isn't them overthinking or being dramatic. This is real. You triggered a recognition of something buried, something repressed, something they were never supposed to confront. But somehow you became the mirror. Not by trying, not by performing, just by being. And now they are replaying your last conversation over and over in their head like a broken loop that refuses to stop. Not because they want to, but because they can't. Actually, they can't. Because you've become tied to something unresolved within them, something unfinished, unfinished psychological patterns are literally the most powerful forces in human behavior. You can feel it in how they look at you, That strange intensity, that subtle tension, like something deeper is happening even when nothing is being said, because something is. But here is where it gets dangerous. When you are no longer just a person in their life, you are an idea, an image, a projection of everything they can't fully understand. You didn't just make them feel good. You made them feel seen in a way that terrified them. And this is where it gets even darker, because when they feel for you is not clean, it's not simple, it's not even fully conscious, it's a mixture of longing, fear, projection, and something dangerously close to obsession. You disrupted them. And disruption in the unconscious mind feels like destiny. In the language of their unconscious, people don't fall in love with individuals. They fall in love with symbols. And you became a symbol of something they lost, or something they never had, or something they were taught they didn't deserve. This is where it becomes almost unbearable for them, because loving you forces them to confront a contradiction, a split within themselves. Part of them wants to move closer to you, but another part resists with equal force. Not because they don't care, but because caring exposes something they have been avoiding their entire life. And this is where it gets even darker. Because that internal conflict doesn't stay contained. It leaks through hesitation, through mixed signals, through moments of intense closeness followed by unexplained distance.
Thank you, mate.
You feel it, don't you? That emotional
Emotion
whiplash,
Thanks,
that sense of something is pulling them toward you, while something else is pulling them away. But here's the truth. Not confused about you. They are overwhelmed.
Thank you, mate. Thank you.
You have activated a part of them that doesn't follow logic, a part that operates on emotion, memory, and suppressed desire. Yeah, a part that remembers things that they consciously forgot. And once that part is awake, it starts asking questions they can easily answer. Questions like, why does this feel so familiar? Why does this scare me this much? Why do I need this but also want to run from it? And this is where their mind begins to fracture. Not visibly, not dramatically, but internally, silently. Because the conscious mind wants stability, but the unconscious craves resolution. And resolution often requires chaos. So, what happens next? They start creating distance, not because they want to lose you, but because they are trying to regain control. They convince themselves that stepping back will quiet the feeling. That space will bring clarity. That time will weaken the attachment. But here's the truth. Distance doesn't kill unconscious attachment. It intensifies it. Because absence removes reality and replaces it with imagination. Imagination is where obsession thrives. Now, you're no longer just a person in their life. You have become an image, a projection of everything they can't fully understand. And projections are powerful because they don't have limits. They grow, they evolve, they become more perfect, more meaningful, more necessary. And this is where it gets almost impossible for them to break free because they are no longer attached to who you are. They are attached to what you've become in their mind. Here's what makes this even more intense though. They don't trust it. They don't trust how strongly they feel. They don't trust how quickly it happened. They don't trust how deeply it affects them because anything with powerful must have a cost. And their psyche knows it. So it creates resistance, doubt, fear. Not to destroy the feeling, but to protect them from what the feeling might demand. Because if they fully accept what they feel for you, they would have to confront everything they have been avoiding. Every suppressed desire, every unresolved wound, every hidden truth. And that's not something that the mind does willingly. So instead, they stay in the middle, pulled in both directions, wanting you but resisting you, thinking about you but avoiding you, feelings everything but expressing almost nothing. And this creates a tension that doesn't go away. It builds slowly, quietly, until it reaches a point where something has to give. The human psyche cannot hold that level of contradiction forever. Eventually it breaks, and when it breaks, it doesn't always break in a way you expect. Sometimes it leads to confession, sometimes it leads to withdrawal, sometimes it leads to actions that seem irrational, even self-destructive. Yeah, self-destructive. Because when the unconscious takes over, logic becomes irrelevant and emotion becomes law. And that's the moment everything changes. The moment where they can no longer pretend this is just a feeling. The moment where they have to face what this really is.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. You see that moment is coming whether they are ready or not. Because what you triggered in them isn't temporary. It's not surface level. It's not something they can simply ignore. It's something that demands resolution. And resolution always comes at a cost. Always. The only question is, what are they willing to lose to avoid facing what they feel for you? At some point, the mind stops negotiating because suppression has limits, and what they feel for you has already crossed that limit. You can sense it in the silence between interactions, that heavy, almost suffocating tension that doesn't disappear. It just wants. That's it. Because what's happening inside them isn't stable anymore. It's building pressure. And pressure in the human psyche always looks for a release. But release doesn't always come as clarity. Sometimes it comes as collapse. And this is where it becomes almost unbearable for them. Because now it is no longer just attraction or curiosity, it's confrontation. A confrontation with parts of themselves they've spent years avoiding, parts shaped by old wounds, old rejections, old beliefs that whispered, "You're not enough, you're too much, you are unsafe to love." And then you appeared. And without trying, you contradicted all of it. But the psyche doesn't accept contradiction easily. It resists it, fights it, distorts it. Because accepting you would mean rewriting everything they believe about themselves. And that's not a gentle process. It's violent, internally violent. So instead of integrating the healing, they fracture around it. One part of them moves closer to you, craving connection, craving the intensity, craving the feeling of finally being seen. But another part pulls back with equal force, whispering things they don't fully understand. This isn't safe, this will hurt, this will expose you. And the closer they feel for you, the more exposed they feel within themselves. And exposure to the unconscious mind that feels like danger, not emotional danger, existential danger. Because you are not just someone they like. You have become a threat to their internal structure, a threat to the identity they built to survive. And survival identities don't dissolve easily. They defend themselves aggressively, suddenly, sometimes destructively. So they start creating narratives, stories to explain why this connection isn't what it feels like. Maybe it's just temporary. Maybe it's not real. Maybe I'm overthinking. But they are not trying to understand it. They're trying to contain it. Because understanding would mean admitting something they are not ready to face. That this, whatever this is real, and it's deeper than anything they have experienced before. But no matter how much they rationalize it, their body doesn't listen. Their subconscious doesn't listen. That pull toward you, it doesn't waken or weaken. It intensifies quietly, relentlessly, like something inside them is insisting this matters. This is important. This cannot be ignored. And ignoring it starts to cause them emotionally, mentally, even physically. Oh, hi. Would you
Oh,
like a free gift?
Jesus.
I'm a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and this is the Book of Mormon. It teaches us more about... Because unexpressed emotion doesn't disappear. It transforms. It turns into restlessness, into anxiety, into that constant feeling that something is missing. And you become the center of that feeling. Not because they want you to be, but because their psyche has linked you to something essential, something they can't replace with anything else. And this is where things begin to slip. Small cracks at first, moments where they control filters, where they almost say something, almost reveal something, almost let you see how deep this really goes. But then they pull back harder than before, because now they are scared. Scared of themselves, scared of how much they feel, scared of how little control they actually have. And this creates a circle that becomes increasingly unstable. The closer they get, the more they panic, the more they pull away, the stronger the feelings grows. And eventually, this cycle starts to break them. Not externally, they still appear composed, still functional, still in control, but internally there is chaos, because you've created a psychological paradox they can't solve. They want you, but wanting you threatens them. They feel connected to you, but connection requires vulnerability. And vulnerability is exactly what their defense were built to avoid. So now they are stuck between desire and fear, between truth and denial, between moving forward and running away. And here is the part that most people never realize. This isn't just emotional tension, it's identity tension. Because if they move toward you, they have to become someone new, someone more open, more exposed, more honest. And that version of themselves feels unfamiliar, unstable, even. But if they move away from you, they don't escape the feeling, they carry it with them. It follows them quietly, constantly, turning into regret, into longing, into that persistent question, what if I let something real slip away? That question. And that question is what begins to break them. Because there is no safe option anymore. Only two painful choices: face what they feel or spend the rest of their time trying to forget it. And forgetting isn't as easy as they hoped, because you're not just a memory. You've become embedded in their unconscious, a symbol, a trigger, a reminder of something they can't fully name. And the more they try to suppress it, the more it resurfaces it.
in dreams, in random thoughts, in moments of silence where everything else fades and you remain. And this is where the pressure reaches its peaks. The psyche can only endure so much contradiction before it demands resolution. And resolution doesn't always come gently. Sometimes it comes as a breaking point, a moment where everything they've been holding back spills out, uncontrolled, unfiltered, unavoidable. But here's the question that lingers right before that moment. What happens? What happens when they can no longer hold it in? Because that moment is closer than they think. There is a moment right before everything breaks where the mind goes silent, not peaceful silence, not calm, but a tense, suffocating stillness, like something inside them has stopped pretending. And that's when the truth rises, unfiltered, unprotected, impossible to ignore. Because at this point, they can't run anymore. They have tried distance, they've tried distraction, they've tried convincing themselves that what they feel isn't real. But reality doesn't disappear just because it's inconvenient. And what they feel for you has become undeniable. But here is the part that changes everything. They finally realized this was never about controlling their feelings. It was about confronting what those feelings reveal. And what those feelings reveal terrifies them because you didn't just make them fall in love, you exposed the part of them that has been starving for connection, for validation.
Attention UK residents over 50. You could be eligible for up to £10,000 to help cover your funeral costs. If you don't have
For something real. And this is where the illusion collapses. They can no longer hide behind logic. They can no longer pretend it's just attraction. They can no longer escape the question that's been haunting them. Why this person? Why does this feel like something I've been waiting for without knowing it? And the answer isn't simple. It's not comfortable. It's not even entirely rational. Because what they feel for you is tied to something unfinished in their past, something they buried so deeply they almost forgot it existed. But the unconscious never forgets. It waits for a mirror, and you became that mirror. But you didn't just reflect who they are, you reflected who they could have been. And that realization cuts deeper than anything else. Because now loving you isn't just about waiting you, it's about grieving a version of themselves they never allowed to exist. A version that was open, a version that wasn't afraid, a version that didn't run when something real appeared. And this is where it becomes almost unbearable. Because every moment they spend avoiding you feels like a betrayal of that version. And every moment they move toward you feels like stepping into something unknown, something they don't know how to control. But here is where everything shifts. They realize there is no safe path, no middle ground, no way to feel this deeply without being changed by it.
So now they are faced with a decision that isn't really a decision, because either way they lose something. If they walk away, they lose you. But more importantly, they lose the chance to become the person they glimpsed through you. And that loss doesn't fade, it lingers. It turns into regret, into that quite persistent ache that shows up years later in moments they can't explain. But if they move toward you, they lose control. They lose the carefully constructed identity that kept them safe. They lose the illusion that they can avoid vulnerability. And for the human psyche, losing control feels like losing everything. And this is the breaking point. The moment where all defenses collapse, where all the rationalizations fall apart, where the truth stands alone, undeniable. They are not just in love with you, they are being transformed by you. And transformation is never gentle, ever. It destroys before it rebuilds. It strips away illusions before revealing truth. It forces confrontation before allowing connection. And that's why this feels so intense, so overwhelming, so impossible to ignore. Because this was never meant to be simple, it was meant to change them. But here is the final truth. The one
You can't. Oh well.